Well, it's time for Perspective now, and my guest on the program today is a Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter who's captivated audiences worldwide. Acantha Lang's debut album, Beautiful Dreams, reached number 3 on the official UK Jazz and Blues Albums chart and number 14 on the official UK Independent Album Breakers chart. But to give you a better idea of her music, let's take a listen. Very uplifting sounds there to start our morning. Acantha Lang joins me in the studio. Thank you very much for being with us on France 24.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to start by the fact that you were born in New Orleans. You are also raised in London, or you spent some time in London.
Yeah.
New Orleans has a big soul music culture, and London has its own kind of melting pot of different genres. How has each of those cities played a role in your music?
Well, being born and raised in New Orleans, the home of jazz, blues, soul music, I was always around this amazing, the sounds of, soul, jazz, and blues. And so it's in my heart, it's in my bones. So no matter where I am, I carry New Orleans in my spirit and in my music. And when I moved to New York City, it's also, a great place for music. And in Harlem, I lived in Harlem where blues and jazz was also prominent, and London as well. So I think all 3 cities has had a huge impact on my sound and my music as an artist.
And you say that, you were always kind of around that jazz blues kind of scene. Did you always know that you wanted to go into music?
Not always. I think sometimes, I wasn't like, a singer that grew up in the church or gospel, with a big family of music. I kind of had to find my way. My journey has been, just different kinds of jobs, like waiting tables and doing things. And then when I moved to New York and lived in Harlem, that's kind of when things all kind of came together. And I really knew I wanted to be a blues singer, a soul singer.
And a songwriter as well.
Songwriter as well.
What's your process for songwriting? How do you go about that? Do you have a kind of ritual that you follow?
I think I write from very honest experiences. So I take the stories of things that I've been through, my family, my friends, and sometimes it's a note in my phone. Sometimes it's a lyric that'll just pop in my head while I'm washing up the dishes. So it can come from anywhere, but I kind of try to remain open to the world, and hopefully a good song will come from it.
Soul music has such a rich history. What first drew you to that genre?
Soul music is, I got my start as a singer, as a blues singer from the very, I think blues is the foundation of all music. And that was a great starting point for me to transition into soul music because it's just honest, it's moving, it's connection, and I think when people really connect with soul music, there's a magic that happens between the audience and the artist, and that's what I'm all about, is connecting with people and telling stories.
Do you think there's a need to inject any kind of modernity or new sounds into soul, or for you is it really about keeping it to the basics and honoring the roots?
I think it's very, very important to honor the roots. I think music has to progress, but you can't forget where it all came from. And I think sometimes, the modern way of doing music is less, it's more kind of mechanics and like drum machines and, not very human focused. And real soul and blues is played by real musicians, telling real stories, and I want to pay tribute to and uphold the legacy of real soul and blues.
Well, your live performances have earned a lot of praise. What do you love most about performing in front of an audience?
Well, it's a dream come true to be able to stand on stage and perform and sing the music that you wrote, and have people sing it back to you, or move people to tears. Sometimes after concerts, people are like, "You had me in tears," during this song, or "I really felt connected. My father passed away and made me feel connected to him," or "My dad used to love soul music. You took me back to my childhood." Those kind of stories after a show really inspires me, and it makes me grateful and happy to be, standing in front of people. Yeah.
Because is there any specific emotions or anything that you want your listeners to feel when they listen to your music, or any thought-provoking kind of themes?
Yeah, I just really want people to, if I'm singing a song, I really want them to understand the lyrics and connect with the story. And if I can, move people to reflect on things that they've are feeling currently, or a reflection in their past life, or that's what I really want to do, is just make people feel happy, sad, or just move them to any kind of emotion. That's the goal.
Well, you are preparing your second album, which is set to be released next year. Is there anything that you can tell us about what you're trying to achieve with this record? Any inspirations that you had?
Yes, I think with this second album, it's diving deeper into some of the things that have happened to me in my life since the last album. I've grown as an artist. I've grown as a woman. Some themes are just really kind of telling the stories about how I grew up in the inner city in New Orleans. I have a song called Down in the Ghetto. My father passed away last year, and I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. And so, there's a song called Sometimes You Don't Get to Say Goodbye. So they're really kind of, close to the bone kind of stories that I think people will really resonate with. It's a reflection of how I see the world, and also some uplifting stuff as well.
Well, you are performing in Paris tonight, is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
Anything that we can expect from that?
Yes, new music. I'll be performing Down in the Ghetto and some other tracks from the second album. And of course, the tracks that you see now, I'll be doing He Said, She Said, and Gonna Be Alright, the song that you saw on the screen. So yeah, just uplifting, sing-alongs, dancing. Gonna bring it down a little bit. So it's gonna be a range of emotions at my show.
And any other tour dates that our viewers can keep an eye out for if they're not in Paris?
So yes, so the next date I have in France actually is next week at the St. Paul Soul and Funk Festival in the south of France. I can't pronounce the name. Saint-Ouen.
You'll be forgiven.
Yes. So yeah.
All right, Acantha Lang, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.